Halo is to Xbox what Mario is to Nintendo. Since the dawn of the Xbox brand, Halo has been there. It was there during the company's highest point, and it's still there in a world where Halo has mostly been forgotten by the casual gaming audience. But despite the continuous failure from Microsoft to compete in the console space, and the repeated blunders from developers at 343 Industries, Halo has never really truly been forgotten by its most loyal fans. On October 24th at the Halo World Championships, Halo Studios is set to announce their newest projects, and all signs point to a ground-up remake of Halo Combat Evolved in Unreal Engine 5. The first Halo game is one of the most important games not just of all time, but to me and countless other people. It is a timeless game that, despite its aging graphics and dated gameplay, still managed to be one of the most beloved games ever created. Still being played and enjoyed by many fans today, new and old. A remake of Halo CE needs to be handled with care and respect, and it needs to evolve the already revolutionary gameplay without sacrificing its identity. As we get closer to the announcement, I figured it'd be a great time to analyze how Halo became what it is today, and how a remake needs to be handled.
That's 3D.
The 1990s were an ever-changing time for video games and first-person shooters in general. id Software's Doom brought fast-paced action to home computers in 1993. It became a revolutionary icon. Doom received praise for its impressive graphics, vast sandbox of weapons, and killer soundtrack. id paved the way for the genre to be what it is today, and there's a reason many of the shooters at the time were called Doom clones. By 1994, a small indie studio called Bungie had released a game called Marathon on Apple Mac systems. Marathon is a bit of a hidden gem. Not very many people I know have played it, but its quality is right up there with Doom, and it should be praised for all the same things Doom did. Marathon received 2 sequels that were also both met with praise. Bungie would unveil their next project at Macworld 1999, Halo. The game was originally a real-time strategy game, and would eventually be reworked into a third-person action game. Set to be a Mac exclusive, Bungie worked hard on Halo into the new millennium. The Xbox was designed to be a home console to compete with Sony's upcoming PlayStation 2. Needing a killer app for the new system, Microsoft approached Bungie about purchasing the company, to which Bungie co-founder Jason Jones agreed, citing he wanted to make games with a company who took video games seriously, rather than just releasing more Mac ports to a smaller audience. Now being developed as a first-person shooter, Halo Combat Evolved was set to release exclusively on Microsoft's upcoming home console, the Xbox. Halo Combat Evolved was released on November 15, 2001, alongside the original Xbox to universal critical acclaim. The game was the reason to buy an Xbox, and it's partly the reason why the system did as well as it did. Not only did Halo prove the Xbox brand was here to stay, it revolutionized first-person shooters on console. While games like GoldenEye were limited to 4 players on a single console, Halo introduced LAN system link to home consoles. Up to 16 players on 4 different Xbox consoles could play together in the game's multiplayer modes, which featured 11 4v4 arena maps and 8 8v8 big team battle maps. In addition to the System Link mode, the game also offered split-screen co-op for its campaign mode. If you grew up playing Halo in the 2000s, you probably have fond memories of playing through the campaign next to your sibling or friend. At the time, the default control scheme most console shooters utilized were tank controls, using just one analog stick to both move and turn your character. Back then this worked, and many games even after Halo still used this setup. The Xbox controller took ideas from other controllers that worked, such as the layout from the now dead Sega Dreamcast, and the dual analog sticks from the PlayStation 1. The idea was one stick would move your character, while the other was used for camera control. This control scheme made movement much more intuitive and allowed Halo to feature a much more diverse enemy AI that you'd actually have to track with your aim. Halo's control scheme has been nearly the same throughout its lifespan, and most FPS games after it also utilized the then revolutionary layout.
Sir?
Right. Let's thaw him out.
Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. Cracking the case in 30 seconds. He's hot! Blowing the pins in 5!
Halo Combat Evolved begins in 2552 during humanity's efforts to stop the Covenant, an alliance of alien races hell-bent on the destruction of humans. You are the Master Chief, humanity's last hope and the last known remaining Spartan 2, which are basically genetically enhanced superhumans. Chief, guided by his lovable AI companion Cortana,
Sod off!
crash lands on the mysterious Forerunner ring world Halo. Halo's narrative is nothing crazy, but for its time, seeing something this cinematic in a first-person shooter was completely unheard of. Much of that can be attributed to Halo's writer and cutscene director, Justice Staten, who's worked on all the Bungie games and really deserves all the praise he gets. Each campaign mission features a variety of different set pieces and encounters for the player to traverse. When you start the game, you have a choice between 4 different difficulty options: easy, normal, heroic, and legendary. To this day, I still believe Halo CE has the most balanced difficulty selection. Obviously, easy and normal aren't too bad, great for folks who are new to shooters. Heroic is where the game gives a significant challenge. You can't just run in head first, that'll get you killed. And then there's Legendary. It's difficult, and a real test of patience. However, it never veers off the edge to being unfair or frustrating like some of the later titles. Heroic and Legendary are perfectly balanced, forcing you to make use of every single piece of the sandbox. You will not be running around the game only using a pistol in this difficulty. Halo's health system utilized a similar mechanic to other games at the time, with an added twist, a regenerating shield bar. The shield will absorb any damage you take until it's depleted, at which point you need to take cover to recharge. Health, on the other hand, can be restored via any health packs scattered in each mission. The system worked very nicely because you could visually identify how weak elite targets were, as well as get an audio indicator of your own status. It really helped the game's pacing, as if you played carefully, you rarely had to scavenge for health packs.
Don't keep it loaded, son. You'll have to find ammo as you go.
Throughout each mission, you'll use Halo's carefully tuned weapon sandbox to fight through waves of Covenant. Human weapons are good for dealing health damage, while plasma weapons are good for stripping shields. A simple design choice that gives the combat a natural ebb and flow. You're constantly switching tools, thinking about positioning, and making split-second decisions. Each weapon feels like it was handcrafted to fill a specific purpose. The M6D Magnum is often heralded as one of the greatest video game weapons of all time, and that's no understatement. This gun is the bread and butter of Halo's gameplay. It's good at just about everything. Cannon fire enemies go down in one hit, and it's decent at stripping shields if you're feeling gun-ho. The MA5B assault rifle, Chief's signature weapon in this game, is often misunderstood and dropped in favor of other more tool-centric weapons. It's a fun gun to just point and shoot, and its decent range and large spread make it a good weapon to just charge into battle with your finger held on the trigger. The plasma weapons are a great sidearm to carry, as they not only strip enemy shield, but also do a lot of stun damage, giving you the chance to back off if you're in trouble. There are a lot of other weapons I haven't even mentioned, and each offers something unique and has its own best traits. This is an area I think Halo CE really excels in, because while later games do add more weapon variety, I feel they really dilute the utility that each weapon had. Be honest, nobody's picking up the SMG in Halo 3, and who the fuck uses the Magnum in Halo 2? Halo's gameplay loop is held up by one core mechanic. The community calls it the Golden Triangle. Guns, melee, and grenades are the three pillars of combat. Later games do add more to it, like dual wielding in Halo 2 or armor abilities in Halo Reach, but at its core, Halo has always followed this standard and still mostly does to this day. The enemy AI was also greatly ahead of its time and still outperforms many modern games. Grunts will panic in fear, elites will dodge grenades, jackals will flank, and hunters push aggressively. It really makes each encounter feel different and unique as the enemy AI interacts with the level environment. Right here is the later half of the game. There was an elite piloting a Banshee, and instead of just shooting me, it decided to fucking nosedive into me. Multiple times! It really was revolutionary at a time when most enemy AI was just standing around waiting to be shot.
Affirmative. Echo 419 inbound. Somebody order a Warthog.
Hey, I didn't know you made house calls for him.
You know our motto. We deliver.
The Warthog is one of gaming's most iconic vehicles, and jumping into one for the first time is a surreal moment. The physics aren't the best, and you often feel like you're driving a boat rather than a huge armored truck, but for its time, it was amazing. Each vehicle feels unique, and while they may not be as diverse as they are in later games, they laid a big foundation for future titles. Bungie designed Halo CE with this fluid mix of infantry and vehicle combat that felt revolutionary at the time. You could seamlessly go from on-foot firefights to all-out vehicular chaos without breaking immersion. What makes it even more impressive is how the AI adapts. Marines will hop in the passenger seat, shoot accurately, and even comment on what's happening. It makes the world feel alive. Halo's sandbox is what gives it endless replayability. It's why people are still finding new ways to approach encounters more than 2 decades later. It's a perfect loop of experimentation, chaos, and control, and it's a part of what makes Halo, Halo. The first mission is a glorified tutorial taking place on the Pillar of Autumn. It's easy to understand, easy to navigate, and teaches the player the mechanics of the game. There's already a variety of weapons to choose from here, and the grunts and elites make good targets for getting a hang of your aim. Halo's art style is probably one of its most well-aged aspects. Marcus Leto, the art director and designer of Master Chief himself, did a fantastic job at creating an art style that would hold up on the original Xbox and stand the test of time over 20 years later. Sure, the textures are a little muddy and the character models show their age, but you can still clearly see the vision behind it. The inspiration from works like Aliens and Ringworld are easy to catch, and paired with that late 90s sci-fi aesthetic, Halo CE visual identity really stands apart, not just from its contemporaries, but even later Halo titles. Taking your first steps onto the ring is still a sight to behold. I can only imagine what players felt back in 2001. The colors are so vibrant, making the landscapes feel both real and alien at the same time. It's incredible how many different environments you explore just on the ring. From rocky green mountains and ancient foreigner facilities to frozen caverns, there's a surprising amount of visual variety in Halo, and the sheer scale of its levels remains unmatched. Later games did lean towards tighter, more linear mission structure, but Halo CE constantly reminds you that you're on a vast, mysterious, alien world. Each level is accompanied by the phenomenal soundtrack by Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore. It's a soundtrack I'd probably include on some of the very best albums of all time, video game or not. Halo is just one of those games where you don't play your own music in the background. Each track tells a story and carries its own emotion for the given circumstance. One moment you might be sneaking across a canyon and covertly sneaking your way into a Covenant carrier. Another, you'll be storming a beach with your own squad of Marines. Halo anthem blasting in your ears.
Touchdown! Hit it, Marines!
It's such a big part of this game. Audio design is a major factor in the character of Halo. Each gun is instantly recognizable without even having to see it. The assault rifle's deep, punchy roar, or the needler's crystally spikes ejecting from the gun, are both great examples of giving the game character through its audio design, in an aspect that only continued to get better in the later Bungie games. Halo's identity really leans heavily both visually but also audibly, and when those sounds and that music become absent, you really tend to notice. Missions 4 and 5 are very open and show Halo's sandbox at its greatest potential. There are enemy tanks firing at you, ghosts closing in, banshees circling the skies, and the game gives you many different tools to approach each situation how you want to. You want to use the rocket launcher to blow everything up? Cool, here you go. You want to use the tank? Here's that too. It makes each playthrough feel fresh without changing a single thing. That sandbox working together in conjunction with the AI just works that well. Eventually, you'll learn the Halo ring is actually an ancient super weapon.
While the Covenant had us locked up in here, I overheard the guards talking about this ring world. They call it Halo.
One moment, sir. Accessing the Covenant BattleNet. According to the data in their networks, the ring has some kind of deep religious significance. If I'm analyzing this correctly, they believe that Halo is some kind of weapon, one with vast, unimaginable power.
Then it's true. The Covenant kept saying that whoever controls Halo controls the fate of the universe.
Once you finally make it to the control room, Cortana warns you about Keyes, who was at the time investigating a weapons cache. Upon loading into the next level, titled 343 Guilty Spark, the opening cutscene is strangely eerie. Jackals and grunts are seen fleeing from an off-screen threat, all backed by a creepy and mysterious low strings hum. Stepping out of the Pelican, that unsettling feeling only gets stronger. The only audio here being the ambience of the swamp, and the radio from a nearby crashed Pelican.
Dropship Victor 90. Pillar bottom. Systems. We are under attack by some new kind of hostage. It isn't Covenant. Captain Keyes has been captured by hostages. Dug in at a large structure in a swamp. We can hold out. Please. I will send this message.
This message being looped doesn't help that unsettling feeling, and as you push on, it only gets more and more strange. You get a strange feeling like you're being watched. Coming up to the structure, you see more grunts and jackals, this time fleeing from what appears to be friendly gunfire. When you get inside, the structure seems to have just a few stray enemies around, but as you get deeper and deeper to the inside, things get a lot weirder. Strange dead bodies, bloody hallways, and even one lone UNSC soldier.
Stay back! Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things! I'll blow your brains out! Get away from me! Ah! Ah! Don't touch me, you freaks! I won't be like you, I'll die first! Find your own hiding place, the monsters are everywhere! Play dead! That's what I did! Play dead! They took the live ones. Oh god, I can still hear them. Monsters! Ah! Ah! Ah!
What could he have possibly seen? He's mortified. He mentioned turning into one of those things. Moving forward, you come across the weapons cache room. Opening the door, the lifeless body of a fallen brother falls into your arms. Chief picks up his helmet. Private Jenkins. Watching the playback reveals what exactly went down in this facility. As you watch along, the mystery only gets bigger when Johnson's crew finds a squad of elites who had been brutally killed, their chests ripped open.
Something scrambled the insides.
What's that? Plasma scoring?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was an accident, you know, friendly fire or something?
What do we have, Sergeant?
Looks like a Covenant patrol. Badass elite units. All KIA.
Real pretty. Friend of yours?
Nah, we just met.
The video continues and you see the squad make it to the very room you're in.
Can you hear me?
What's going on, soldier?
We've got contact. Lots of them. But they're not Covenant. They're just tearing through us. What the? Oh, no!
Suddenly, one of the Marines in the footage gets attacked by an unknown alien, followed by a swarm of them, and then the video ends there. Your first initial reaction, what was that? There are no bodies around, just their weapons, the last of what was Fireteam Charlie. Suddenly, the strings hum, and the chapter card reads, The Flood. and you're introduced to the scariest and darkest part of Halo. Your weapons here are not nearly enough to outlast what seems to be an endless swarm of enemies. Luckily enough, someone was kind enough to leave you a shotgun, perfect for these creatures. When returning to the elevator you came down, activating it reveals it's no longer in operating order. Making your way across the facility, you find another elevator. Thinking, oh, the nightmare is over, you activate it only for this to happen. Oh, fuck. Suddenly, Halo just turned into a survival horror game. The tone shift here is done so incredibly well, I can't help but grin every time I replay this section. I love watching new players go through this game blind and getting this part for the first time. It's by far one of the greatest twists and scenes in video game history. The slow and meticulous reveal of the Flood works so well just because of how this game was set up. Just 30 minutes ago you had a rocket launcher and a tank and were blasting your way through Covenant like it was just another Monday. Those first few hours set a false sense of security, and at the time, nobody expected the Flood. Bungie did an incredible job hiding them from all marketing and pre-release information. One thing Halo excels at is visual storytelling. Often you'll find small clues about something that happened before you got there, like this pile of bodies here. It's almost as if these jackals and marines decided if they wanted any chance at survival, they would need to team up, and that just oozes that visual storytelling aspect and reinforced just how much of a threat the Flood are. Once you make it out of the facility, you're greeted by the monitor of the Halo installation, calling himself 343 Guilty Spark.
I am 343 Guilty Spark. Someone has released the Flood. My function is to prevent it from leaving this installation, but I require your assistance. Come, this way.
Spark explains the Flood outbreak, yeah, no shit, and tasks us with retrieving the activation index to use the Halo weapon against the Flood. Spark guides the Chief through the library to retrieve the activation index. And unfortunately, this is where a lot of Halo's level design takes a nosedive. This is pretty much the last mission with unique level assets. The library consists of mostly copy and pasted corridors with an absolute onslaught of Flood. It's honestly a test of patience. Now, playing this game for almost 20 years, I've gotten the level layout memorized pretty well, but it's not uncommon for people to get lost in this level as everything looks nearly the same. The 2011 remaster did attempt to add some arrows to point you in the right direction. Most people cite this as the weakest level in the game, and I'd like to challenge that opinion. Yes, I'm about to defend the library. This level really displays how much of a threat the Flood are. You have to be on top of your game here, as there are multiple sections where you're forced to hold out while the monitor unlocks a door. One wrong move can erase minutes of progress. This level is a true test of patience and strategy, and I absolutely love it. While most players complain about how repetitive it is, I think it really amplifies the horror and the fear that Bungie wanted the player to feel. You may be a super soldier, but that doesn't make you invincible. The labyrinth design of the level also works in my opinion. Walking down these long stretches of rooms, cleaning up any Flood you may have left behind, at the same time being mindful of what's in front of you. The Flood are also a nice contrast to the Covenant. Instead of being smart, tactical enemies, the Flood are relentless, charging at you. Their best weapon are their numbers. Soon after, they even begin using weapons against you. Yeah, you'll be seeing that rocket Flood in your dreams, buddy. And it does a fantastic job at amplifying that sense of dread. The library can be a long and exhausting level, especially on harder difficulties, but I think it really sets in just how dire the situation is. I mentioned earlier how the library is the last mission to have its own level assets, and that's mostly true. Each level in the second half of the game is a level from the first half you must retread in a different direction. The next level, 2 Betrayals, is the more egregious example of this issue. Returning to the control room of Spark, Chief activates the console and places the index inside. Suddenly, Cortana jumps out and intercepts the activation sequence, reprimanding Chief for nearly activating a Halo installation.
You have no idea how this ring works, do you? Why the Forerunners built it? Halo doesn't kill Flood, it kills their food. Humans, Covenant, whatever. We're all equally edible. The only way to stop the Flood is to starve them to death. And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life.
She reveals Halo is not just a weapon to destroy the Flood. Halo was designed to wipe out all sentient life, killing all possible hosts, effectively ending the Flood threat. I'm not sure how the Chief is supposed to know that, so be nice to him, Cortana. This is Halo's other major narrative twist. The giant hula hoop you've been fighting for is actually a giant fuck you blast. Everything you've been fighting for feels hollow. The Covenant, the Flood, even your own mission, it all gets reframed. You realize you're not the hero trying to use a super weapon to save the day. You're trying to stop one from destroying everything. Guilty Spark confirms the truth and reiterates to the Chief,
There is no choice. We must activate the ring.
Chief responds with one of my favorite lines in the series.
That's not going to happen.
So be it. Save his head. Dispose of the rest.
It's a sense of betrayal, not just from Spark, but the story itself. Everything you thought you had understood about your mission gets flipped on its head, hence the mission name. And Spark then turns on us, and we must fight our way out of the control room. The second half of the campaign's focus is on stopping the Flood threat, while also preventing the activation of the Halo ring. 2 Betrayals is a long tromp back through Mission 4. You pretty much backtrack through every single room, only this time there's Flood, and I gotta say, this is my least favorite part of the game. This mission is just as long, if not longer, than Assault on the Control Room, but the enemy placement here gets downright obnoxious at points. Now, you're not just dealing with swarms of Covenant, but you also have hordes of Flood, and even Flood using fucking rocket launchers. Seriously, this is one part of the game I never look forward to replaying, especially on Legendary. It's just downright painful. Much more so than the library in my opinion. So Cortana has us disable 3 pulse generators in this location to hopefully delay the firing sequence. Her plan is to locate the Pillar of Autumn's crash site and activate the self-destruct sequence to hopefully destroy the ring and prevent it from being able to fire at all. This takes us to Keys, the second to last level in the game, which you might recognize as Mission 3, the Truth and Reconciliation. Our main objective here is to locate Captain Keys so that we can get his neural implants, that way we can activate the Pillar of Autumn to blow. When you gain control of Chief, you'll hear Keys through the comm telling you to leave, sounding like he's in pain.
Chief, don't be a fool. Leave me.
Captain? Captain?
Making your way through the ship and into a pool of green goo, you find yourself in the middle of a firefight. This mission isn't amazing by any means, but it is pretty cool seeing the Flood and Covenant fight it out. It can be a bit of a pain to get through here, as sometimes it feels like the enemies do not stop respawning, but with enough grenades you'll eventually persevere. Making your way back onto the ship and onto the bridge, you finally locate Captain Keys, and what's left of him is fused into the grotesque mass of the Flood proto-Gravemind. This moment really hits differently. It's where the horror of the Flood really sinks in. Up until now, they've just been mindless zombies to shoot, an overwhelming threat to survive. But seeing what they did to Keys, someone you fought beside since the very beginning, gives you a deeper meaning of what's truly at stake. I'd also like to briefly mention the terminals added in the Anniversary Edition of the game, which are basically hidden videos you can find that add to the lore and overarching story of the universe. This mission's terminal is absolutely heartbreaking. It's probably my favorite one in the entire franchise. Seeing Captain Keys in this literal mental battle, fighting for his sanity with the parasite as he repeats his name and service number, it transforms him from just another fallen comrade into a symbol of what humanity is fighting to protect, and what could be lost forever if the Flood wins. It's done exceptionally well, and it really shows just how brutal and painful having your mind and body taken over by the Flood can be. I seriously encourage everyone to watch this terminal if you haven't, because it's beautifully horrifying. Chief obtains the neural implants, and with Keys gone, rest in peace, King. There's only one thing left to do. Make sure Halo never fires. The Maw, Halo's final level, is probably the only level I actually didn't mind retreading through, as narratively it makes sense, but also thematically it's a somber return to where your mission began, the Pillar of Autumn. Seeing these hallways already decayed, filled with grime, and that eerie hum in the air, it's bittersweet. You retread your steps all the way back to where you first saw Captain Keyes and Cortana at the bridge. Upon activating the self-destruction code, it's immediately halted by none other than 343 Guilty Spark. Seeing no other option, Cortana suggests we blow up the ship via its fusion reactor core. Making a pit stop in the armory, we grab a rocket launcher and grenades, and good god, that's a camo flood! More great visual storytelling. These must have been stealth elites that got infected by the flood. Getting into engineering and blowing all 4 reactors starts the escape sequence, and probably one of the most iconic parts of the game.
Things are getting noisy down there. Everything okay?
Negative. We have a wildcat destabilization of the ship's fusion core. The engines must have sustained more damage than we thought.
The Warthog run. It's always a fun time to go through, but often I find myself fighting with the vehicle physics. Getting a perfect run here never seems to happen for me. One funny thing is this level has a 3-kilometer long tunnel of random geometry that all fits inside of a ship. It's apparently just 1,171 meters long. Once you get to the pickup point, you call for Echo 419 and...
Hold position here.
Cortana to Echo 419. 2 Covenant Banshees are approaching on your 6. Evade. Say again, evade.
I'm hit! Mayday! Mayday! There's one bunch of destruction hell! I can't hold her! I can't hold on!
Echo 419! She's gone.
I get the sense she's not making it out alive. What follows is probably the most adrenaline-pumping part of the whole game, the final run. She flies through collapsing hallways, explosions going off every few seconds, debris flying everywhere. It's pure chaos in the best way possible. Then comes that jump! Yeah, it's still not fun. I don't think anyone's ever nailed it perfectly on their first try. Finally, you reach the hangar and there it is. One lone longsword fighter waiting. She floors it, makes the jump, and barely escapes as the Autumn's reactor goes critical, taking the entire Halo ring with it in one massive explosion. It's a quiet victory, no celebration, no victory achieved, just reflection. Reflection on everyone that you lost, everyone who died just for you to be able to escape. Chief and Cortana share a final moment of peace, and for the first time, it's quiet. The mission's over.
No, I think we're just getting started.
Halo CE was a massive critical and commercial success, selling over 1 million copies by April 2002. Bungie proved they had created an iconic franchise, and soon after it released, work began on a sequel. Bungie would then be contracted by Microsoft for 4 more Halo games, each one building what made the original so great, and improving on what people didn't like. Halo's fanbase has always been one of the most passionate group of people I've ever seen, and to this day, there are still mods, custom content, and love being poured into each of these old games, even 20 years later. In 2010, Bungie released Halo Reach, their final Halo title before moving on to Destiny. They left Halo with Microsoft and a new developer, 343 Industries. Their first project in collaboration with Saber Interactive was built for the Xbox 360. 10 years after the original's launch, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary would release in 2011.
10 years ago, Halo introduced millions of fans to an incredible new universe and delivered billions of hours of entertainment. That was 10 years ago. This is now.
As a young kid when this game released, I couldn't be more excited. We sold our original Xbox and my copy of Halo CE years earlier. Getting to play Halo CE again just made me happy, and I was a fan of it for the longest time. As I grew older, myself and most of the rest of the Halo community began to notice and point out how much Halo CE Anniversary fails at preserving the original's art direction and intent. Many assets were reused from past games, like Halo 3 or Halo Reach. While these designs do fit in their own respective games, they just do not match the design the original devs had for Halo CE. The biggest change? Brightness. Halo CEA brightened every single scene, often unnecessarily, destroying the dark and mysterious atmosphere of Forerunner structures or the eerie swamp levels. The flood reveal, which was a signature moment, became almost unrecognizable. Just look at how the blood was almost completely removed. It doesn't even look like blood, that's a fucking coffee stain. The audio and soundtrack were also redone, though I actually like these changes. They stay faithful while also feeling fresh. The terminals and collectible skulls were nice additions. Halo CEA worked fine for getting new fans into the series, but I don't feel it accurately represents the original vision and intent the developers had. Not only does the remake's graphics completely lose sight of what made the original work, but the original graphics were also fucked up. They used the Gearbox PC port, which featured tons of graphical bugs and issues. Luckily, the version available on the Halo Master Chief Collection has been touched up and improved, and serves as a very nice way to play the original Halo CE on modern hardware. Nothing will beat the original Xbox version on the CRT, but MCC is a fantastic alternative. Video game remakes are a tricky business. Some are praised, others fall flat. What counts as a remake? Is it faithful like Resident Evil, a reimagining like Silent Hill 2, or a full redesign like Final Fantasy VII? Halo CE is especially challenging because every design choice was intentional. Yet, it was at a time when the genre was in its infancy. Overcorrecting risks losing what made it great. Imagine adding ADS or Spartan abilities from Halo 5 into Halo CE. It just wouldn't work. Now, I'm not going to start the whole sprint debate. Sprint doesn't change Halo enough for me to yell about it. I could take her to leave it, especially if it was done like it was in Halo Infinite. Sandbox design is also a critical consideration. Halo CE's weapons are tight, purposeful, and balanced compared to later entries, and while I'm not opposed to being new weapons added, I would like there to be an attempt to make each one useful while also staying away from any redundant weapons. This also means respecting the Golden Triangle. No armor abilities, no unnecessary bloat. Every weapon should be meaningful and unique. If I were to remake Halo CE myself, here's what I would do. First off, the original art style and audio design of the game must be kept intact. I cannot stress this enough. Halo's landscapes and skyboxes didn't just look realistic, they looked alien. Modern games, and especially ones in UE5, lean into that realism aspect and really lose what made the original's identity unique. The trailer they showed off at HCS Worlds last year was fantastic, but like many people pointed out, it just looks a bit too human, if that makes sense. How do I know this is on a Halo ring? The sky is missing that alien hue, the grass looks too much like Earth. I want to see Installation 04 recreated with the original vision intact. Halo CEA failed to recreate the original properly, added lights where they didn't need to be, replaced models with the ones that didn't fit, and overall severely crippled the original art style. Most people's complaint with Halo CE is the repetitive level design, and I can agree. The biggest and best change they could do is expanding the level layouts. Much of Halo CE is fought in long corridors and the same looking rooms over and over. I'd like to see this expanded, new areas to explore, new secrets to find. Less repetition is always a welcome change, especially in the later levels that revisit earlier locations. The biggest thing I can ask for, do not change the story. Any remake must preserve this timeless story while also expanding context. Halo the Flood is a novelization of Halo CE, and it has a ton of scenes not featured in the game. Alpha Base isn't even mentioned in the game, yet it plays a big role early on in the book. Even smaller aspects like the story of Yap Yap and Zukazamami would be an awesome addition for fans of the book. Many of the terminals featured in CE also take stories directly from the book, like the one I mentioned earlier. And at the end of the day, I'd just like to ask for a complete game at launch, with minimal bugs and issues. I'm not sure if this is coming with an included multiplayer or if that's going to be a separate live service game, but we need a full game at launch. That means full campaign, with split screen and online co-op. And finally on my checklist, I think supporting the community via mods or even Forge would be a huge bonus for the game. Halo's fans are what keeps it going after all. Combat Evolved was more than just a simple video game. It redefined what a first-person shooter was. It introduced us to iconic characters like Master Chief and Cortana and the universe they inhabited. Halo put Xbox on the map. Without Halo, there is no Xbox. Halo Industries and whoever else is working on the game, you have the potential to reintroduce the world to the universe of Halo. The chance to restore the cultural impact that Halo had on the gaming space. The ring may have fallen, but the universe Bungie created is eternal, and the next chapter is still waiting to be written. Thank you so much for watching my first full-length video essay on Halo CE. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I truly appreciate you sticking around until the very end. If you liked what you saw, a like would mean a lot, and if you want to see more long-form video essays, consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, bye-bye!